the dancing, the dancing before the murder, the having fun and the dancing before the murdering. You remember back in the day, there used to be so many parties, house parties. Everybody would dance. Wasn't nobody getting murdered. Wasn't no houses getting shot up. You just dance. I believe that was said the entertainer years ago on one of his stand-ups when he was talking about breakdancing. When brothers had beef with each other, they would break dance. Wasn't nobody getting killed. But then gangster rap stepped in. Murder. Everybody started murdering each other, look like. But you remember everybody was trying to do the kid and play, you know. Or you had that cat in the neighborhood that can mimic everybody dancing. It used to be fun. Like I said, wasn't nobody getting killed. But now, I told y'all, maybe that was last year, one of my favorite artists was Heavy D. Heavy D could dance, man. You never seen nothing violent when Heavy D music came on. You know, remember Heavy D in the bars? You would try to mimic those dances. Who else? Jay, you asked me who I think was one of the baddest dancers also back then. Oh, hands down, Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown was a cold-blooded dancer, man. Remember people would mimic Bobby Brown steps. You would dance, 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 and one of my favorite shows that came on back then was In Living Color with the Fly Girls. Remember that? I think J-Lo was on there. I remember when women wasn't dressing so revealing like they doing now. They would dance still with their clothes on. But you see, when that gangster rap took over, everything went downhill. You know, now you got all this beef. I say when brothers beef back then, they battled it out with a rap. You know, rap battles. Wasn't nobody getting murdered. You had lyrics, lyricists. One thing about me, I listen very closely at lyrics, not just the beat, but lyrics. And you can tell when somebody can really, really flow. You know, I always said that about Nas, off top, KRS-One. When you heard some of these cats, Big Daddy Kane, they had different styles. They was bringing something different to the table, and you could recognize when Big Daddy Kane came on, KRS-One came on, different one. I'm just naming a few, but I'm just sharing this with those who remember how it was before it got violent. You know, wasn't nobody getting murdered off a Kid and Play song. Wasn't nobody getting murdered off of Bobby Brown songs. You know, Heavy D songs. You know, even Will Smith when he used Summer Madness, the tune Summer Madness when he did Summertime. You know, it was all about a family reunion. You know, but now, and I know even back then you may say, well, some of that stuff was sexual too. They was singing and rapping about, you know, wanting to be with somebody they love, or you know, et cetera, et cetera. Well, each generation has its share of little sexual music. Back in my mom and them time, I mean, come on, you had the Marvin Gaye's. Come on, man, we wasn't born off of Father, I stretch my hands to thee, no other help I know. my daddy, man, had a collection, man. You know, it was always gonna be music in that house. Back then, he had the A track, he had the reel to reel, he had the record player. We was brought up on all this stuff, you know, and that's what started me to playing music. Marvin Gaye was one of my favorites. What's Going On, Inner City Blues. That's how I learned how to play the keyboard. I didn't learn how to play the keyboard off church music. I was already learning music before the music, if you want to say worldly. I was already learning that because of what was being played in the house. The Billy Pauls, the Me and Mrs. Jones. I mean, I can go on and on and on. Johnny Guitar Watson back in the day. I would hear it, learn it, and next thing you know, I'm playing it. So, and it wasn't nothing violent back then. So we see the time how I keep telling y'all. I just said this the other day. War is a business, religion is a business, and prison is a business. I've been saying this for a long time on here, and I'm gonna just say this as I close. We know who the day is when they start putting this stuff in front of us and found a way how to make it work by us against us. When you look who's behind the scene, then you know what time it is. Shalom, family.